Okay, wanted to get this done real quick. I just watched on Netflix a show called Under an Arctic Sky. And this is about some extreme surfers under the, well, Arctic sky. And at the very end, this guy said, the risk is key to the joy. Just locked onto that. If you guys want to know why entities come here, that couldn't be any better said. That is exactly the way this game was built. That's what this game is built on. That's the reason why people... Hi, Lipsy. That's the reason why people do this. Because the risk is key to the joy. With the more risk there is, the more joy they feel. It's the contrast. That's the whole point in the dualistic game. Now, for a starseed, that risk is confusing to us. But to a long-term human, the beings that enjoy that contrast, that is exactly... Hi, Tasha. That's exactly why they do it. That couldn't... I mean, that's the perfect explanation for this game. The risk is key to the joy. So, via my last intense hard truth of getting to 5D, that's the reason why I'm doing this video, is when you understand that it's only a game, and when you understand that the whole basis of this game is risk versus enjoy, and the more risk there is, the more joy they receive, then all of those things that you consider bad and tragic and horrible, put those over in the risk category. And the more risk that those entities are doing, they receive that much more joy on the other side. So when you see horrible things happening to people, it is easier to respect their decision with that understanding that they have chosen the extreme risk to feel the extreme joy in this circumstance. And in that knowingness, you can sit back, breathe deep, not feel bad for them, not feel bad for the planet, not feel bad for you, because you understand what the reason was behind the creation of this game with all of its intensity. So no matter how horrible the situation may appear to you, it is absolutely created exactly, always, the way they want it to. It is always that way. It cannot be anything else. It is always exactly, precisely the way the entities want it to be. Now, part of the risk is for them to be under the impression that they don't have any control of the situation, because that creates more risk. But as somebody who's listening to me, I want you to know that that is just an illusion they create to create more risk to lead to more joy. And then that understanding, there's no reason to be upset about any of it. Okay? Hello, Ashil Nicole and Daryl Sanders. I love it when I get lipsy. So you guys, hopefully this will help after the truth about 5D. And that is true. Whenever I tell you guys that you cannot be attached to anything, I mean you can be attached to nothing. Because 5D is so different than here that you have to be almost... Follow Michelle. Michelle is a perfect person to follow because she lives in a wonderland of amazing magic. She's already in 5D half the time. I can't imagine how she does that. And she still handles being in this physical skin suit in 4D. But everything in 5D is magical, and everything is not based on risk. Everything is the opposite of basing it on risk. But in order to get to 5D, where it's a different kind of joy, you have to completely understand and accept what they're doing here and below. You have to. And you eventually, once you get over not frowning about it, the kids screaming, the animals crying, once you get over that, eventually what you can do, I do, is you sit back and you smile and you go, wow, I am so awestruck by you creator gods being willing to go through that kind of risk and the joy that you must get on the other side. Hats off to you. I am amazed. I can't even, I did a lot of it, but I did it unconsciously. A lot of these guys are doing it consciously. Well, ultimately, my higher self knew what was going on, but you guys know what I mean. But a lot of these guys, the long-term humans, they set this stuff up one right after the other in intense ways. But they're doing it exactly for that reason. Because, and it's like the extreme sports guys here. They'll go further and further and further and further. They want it worse and worse and worse because the contrast is incredibly different. The harder they make it, when they do get to joy, the contrast is incredible. And that's why they do what they do. And until you can understand that and give those creators the honor that they deserve, the admiration that they deserve, unless you can take that good, bad thing that's ingrained in your head as a human out of the picture and look at it as the game that it is and give them absolute obstruct, so much credit to create what they're creating. Especially you starseeds, because you starseeds will have the advantage of being able to access that vibration, that information. You will be able to experience that contrast, and you won't have to go through it yourself. They are doing you a huge favor. If you send out negativity towards any of these people, can you see what an insult that is? Because they are going through some of the most intense things ever created, ever, so that the whole can have this incredible contrast. It is absolutely amazing. And I have told you guys, it is not my game. I don't enjoy it, but I am absolutely, incredibly grateful that they are doing it. Because I've been on the other side. I've been able to access that contrast in the now. I didn't have to live through it in linear time. I didn't have to suffer through linear time. They did it for us. And in that, I am incredibly grateful for what they have done for us. And they'll continue to do. And I'll continue to have access to that without having to go through this linear time of creating this incredible contrast of going from that risk to that joy. So you want to know how I face off child molesters and wife beaters and animal torturers? That's how I do it. But Naya, okay, Daryl, but aren't individuality and separateness always an illusion? Yes, it is. However, separateness and illusion, it is. And as long as you're in this skin suit, now I, most of the day, go over onto the other side and merge with all that is. But in order for us as a God to, it's kind of like I've told you guys about that your child self does not go to work. We still keep that separate in order to play the games, to create what we want to create, and then we can access it in any time. So I don't have to, in my childhood, for instance, my childhood sucked. So I don't access that. Why don't I access that? Because it sucked. But is it important for the whole? Does it create contrast? Does it do what the long-term humans have done? Absolutely. Will other people access it? Absolutely. But I'm not going to access it here. I'll access it when I'm outside of the game, and it doesn't hurt as much then. Yeah, as they do. Now, if you want to experience all the creation that we're doing, you pull away from it and look at it outside of the event. When you merge with all that is, you have all of it at once, and anybody can do that. Absolutely, you can do that. But it's just more fun on the other side to look at things one thing at a time. So you can take some long-term human's complete life and experience it in a moment and see how that is different and separate from all that is. It's curiosity, it's play. Xenon, hi, love. So it's like a movie without contrast and drama. There's no plot. Exactly. This is like the most complex, huge, dramatic, all-encompassing movie ever. Only you get to play in it, or you can leave and you can access it and you can watch it. Only when you watch this movie, you can actually, in the now, without experience, you can experience all the drama, all the contrast, all the everything, but you can do it in the now all at once on the other side. So it doesn't hurt as much as it does here, where it just drags on and drags on and drags on. So on the other side, everybody loves everybody who's creating here. They love everyone. There is great respect for anyone who comes to be a human, anyone who is in 3D, because they know in the now that they can access all of this information without going through the struggle. So all the people that offer to, okay, David could, on judgment for others, myself, on the other hand, I need to cut myself some slack. Yes, everybody needs to cut themselves some slack. Good morning, Chris. It sounds like Starseeds get the Cliff Notes. Yes, the Starseeds do get the Cliff Notes. But in that, we don't get the contrast. We're confused by the contrast. So the Starseeds don't get the contrast because we remember the other side. So that cuts the contrast and we don't have as much fun, which is why a Starseed is going, this is not fun. And a long-term human is going, what are you talking about? This is the greatest thing ever. And there's the difference. Now, for most of the time before new Starseeds were sent, and most of the game, you don't have like, the only reason there are new Starseeds is they're beginning the game. And that's what people mean when they say old soul and new soul. It's not that there are old souls and new souls. There's old souls and new souls in the game, because all souls have always been and will always be. But a new soul in this game will be looked at as a new soul. It's what Starseeds are here kind of struggling along. It's just that Starseeds in this game, in this moment, are here specifically for Gaia. The rest of the time, and so they're in mass. Most of the time in the game, there'll be a new Starseed periodically who's just somebody that's just starting in on the game. And then most everybody is on different ranges of that game. Let's see. Can you advise how to connect with the now on the other side? Ooh, Chris. The best way of connecting with the now on the other side is you really, really, really have to be good at shutting off your mind. Your mind is what blocks you from being able to connect to the other side in the now, how to connect to source. You have to shut the brain off. Now, guys, I want you to listen to me. Most of my life, including up to and after I died, I am a thinker. I was raised a thinker. I'm a straight A student. I had a horrible childhood. School was an escape for me. It was safe. I loved it. I loved analytical thinking. I loved logicking things out. It was my escape. I could do that in a hell home and feel better. So from that standpoint, I really, really understand how hard. That's why I couldn't meditate. For decades, I tried to meditate. I just couldn't get my brain to shut off. That was my safety, that ramping and running 100 things in my mind nonstop. That's what kept me kind of buffered from the hell that I lived in. So I lived in my head. I lived in thinking. There was nobody ever who was more addicted to thinking than I was. But then I died. And I found out that thinking may have been buffering me from the pain that was occurring in my life around me, but it was not serving me in my ultimate goal. So that's when I really went to town and learned to meditate. And now, literally, I used to have conversations with ex number 2, and I used to say to him, what are you thinking? And he used to tell me I'm not thinking anything. And I just thought he was flat out lying to me. And I went, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Nobody can just not think of anything. I mean, I'm always thinking of 100 things at a time, and they're always changing. Aquarius. But he would always say, I'm not thinking anything. And I really told him many times that he was just lying. He just didn't want to share with me, didn't want to connect with me. And then I learned to meditate. And now, for years now, I don't think of anything. And I haven't. My mind is literally completely thought free all the time. And when I do think a thought, it's very controlled. I think a certain thought, I get it handled, and then I get it out of my head. So most of the time, I am not thinking about anything. In that ability of not thinking about anything, I can go through my day, clean the house, help G-Man, talk to Zen Mommy, wash the dishes, mop the floor, feed my dog. That takes very, very little time. I can do it on automatic pilot. It takes absolutely no thinking whatsoever. So that leaves about 90% of my time available to spend in the now on the other side. So I'm running a very dualistic life, and that's how I survive here. If I couldn't do that, I would not be sane here. And how you do that is you have to shut off the thinking brain. The thinking brain is what will interfere with you connecting to the all that is and to understand the now. Because the thinking brain is very linear. It cannot get out of linear thought. It's one word right after the other, one sentence right after the other, one paragraph right after the other. That's how it works. So to get into the now where you just know everything instantly, you have to shut off that brain. Oh, Ashley, you're a starseed. Okay, Earth to Maya, being up in my head. Wait a minute, how do I do this? Where did you guys go? All right. I'm working on it. I cannot find, I'm on the phone. I thought I just swirled it up and you guys came back. Oops, that didn't work. Oh well, I'll have to wait. I'll have to wait till you guys talk again because I can't get it to come up. So ask your question again because I can't see the words. All right, does that make sense? But if you will take that knowledge, because it's really, 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 I can't even tell you. Oh, there it is. Being up in my head saved me in my childhood. Yes, it did. I'm sure it did. I remember in my childhood I didn't have this chatter. Exactly. We developed that over time. Are you going to be coming to the UK? Yes, I am. As soon as I get the money to get over to the UK, I will come. You are very welcome, Ashley. So I just wanted you guys to know, because I know one of the hardest things to do for a starseed is to look at all of the pain and anguish that's on this planet and be happier. I know that that's the tough thing. And then we internalize it and it turns into a hellacious life and pain and all kinds of stuff. So I really need you guys to hear me in this, that you've got to figure out a way to look at this game so that it doesn't look like it's something's wrong. You've got to understand, you've got to give these guys credit. And if you don't, if you say, oh, they're a bad guy and this needs to stop, you're being very disrespectful to those creator gods that spent a great deal of time setting up that situation so they could have the contrast. It's very insulting. And trust me, when you die, if you do that until you die, there will be people on the other side that you're going to be faced off with that are going to be asking you why you did that. And it's not in a bad way. They'll just be curious. Why did you send negative energy to them in their creation? So I'm just trying to give you a heads up before you get there so that you can figure it out, so that you can give them the respect that they deserve. They are gods. You are gods. They know what they are doing. Nothing happens against anything's will, ever. It's impossible. It can't be done. So you've got to learn, as hard as it is, much as it goes against everything in your soul, you have got to learn to back up and say they know what they're doing. And this is just a game. And what they're creating, they know what they're doing. This isn't a bad thing. There is nothing bad here. There's nothing broken. There's nothing bad. There never has been. Anywhere. Ever. All right? Okay. David, I've been aware of this and have been working on it. However, some say I am out of my mind already. Oh, yeah. Well, you notice that I don't have a great, big, huge following. There's a reason for that. The stuff that I say is kind of against what everybody says. But I'm telling you, that I was dead. I was there. I know how this works. They're wrong. I'm right. Nothing wrong with what they're doing, but what they're doing will not get them to 5D. Because, and it makes sense if you think about it. When you know what 5D is all about, you can't have any of these feelings in 5D. You just can't. It would be deadly. It would create chaos. It would hurt Gaia, and there's no way that's going to be allowed. So a lot of it, you can talk to people here on my channel. You can, mostly I just keep my mouth shut because people just generally are going to think you're nuts. They're absolutely going to think you're nuts. I had a really tough life too. I always say I think it's because I'm so stubborn. I had to experience every difficult situation possibly to wake me up. Yeah, they were working against you, Ashley. You are a starseed, and they knew you were there. Lipsy, yeah, so right, I have to keep reminding myself this with my family. Good practice. Thank you so much. I wouldn't be thinking the way I do now without you. Aw, thank you, Lipsy. That's sweet. That's what I want to hear. I don't have any big desire to reach out to millions of people. I'm looking for serious people who are trying to go to 5D. Everybody else that wants to stay in 3D and 4D, that is fine by me, but they probably shouldn't be watching me. The ones that I'm talking to are hardcore go into 5D people. That is who I'm talking to. And there's so much truth in everything that what I say is only for those people. So I can talk to other things. It's just I don't want to because I don't care. 4D is amazing. It's fantastic. 3D is amazing. 4D is even more. I just am not going there. I'm going to 5D. So, yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to cut this off. Love you so much. Thank you guys for being with me. Love you so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye now. See how I get this to turn off.